before I get started, I wanted to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and the elders, past, present, and emerging. Also wanted to acknowledge the guests here, distinguished MPs, my industry colleagues, and any landowners that might be present. I also wanted to thank the Chamber for giving us an opportunity to remember is not the right word, but get Yandera back on the map. We've been quiet for a little while, and I wanted to take this opportunity to give an update. Freeport is a publicly traded company. Here's a disclaimer. I won't spend any time on that. Freeport acquired the parent owner of the Yandera Mining Company, which is the PNG entity holding Yandera project, from Era in 2021. And since that time, we've been working on a way to get the project lifted back up to where it was and get it back on track. A little bit about where the project is. We've got this fantastic belt of deposits. We sit here, kind of between Pogra and K92, but there's some really excellent porphyry systems in this belt, and we feel like Yandera is one of them. Freeport owns 100% the company. We were just issued our renewal for the previous period. We're working on getting the new one, which we feel is going to happen soon. The tenement is about 245 square kilometers. It's a big tenement, and there's a lot of prospective ground. The vast majority of the effort's been spent in the very middle part around these resources that we know about, but I won't talk about the exploration, but I could for a very long time. It's really exciting. There have been almost $200 million US spent on the project, advancing it. A lot was spent on definitive drilling and engineering studies. So there's a lot of money that was spent on the project and has really moved it forward. In 2017, the most recent body of significant engineering work was a pre-feasibility study that Era completed, and it was positive. There was a very good IRR and an NPV. And this is a great place to explore. We know about the resources I'll show you, but we're excited about the neighborhood. It's a pretty tiny font. Apologize for that, but here's the important thing. We've got 728 million tons of measured and indicated resource that we know about today. And we've got about 230 million tons of inferred. So it's an interesting situation that over 3/4 of our resources are in the M&I category. Largely a sulfide resource. There are some mixed and some oxide resources. And the grade is not as high as some places, but the copper equivalent is pretty good. Around 85% of the value of the project is copper. 15% is molybdenum and gold. So there's some interesting gold here, but gold is not the commodity that's going to carry the project. Another map, you can see where we sit in relation to some of these other properties. Good neighborhood, great neighborhood. A little bit of the history. Property was discovered in the 60s. Kennecott actually performed a pretty substantial stream sediment survey. They identified some copper showings. They went in, did a bunch of work. BHP came in. They were involved for a while. There have been a number of operators, but probably the majority of the work was completed by Era, then known as Marengo Mining. during that 1990 to 2020 period, and then in 2021 is when Freeport acquired Era Resources and the property. And it was kind of an unfortunate time to have a mineral property that was at this stage because the funding markets were challenging, and then COVID-19 came in, and so we had a couple of unfortunate circumstances that really put a kibosh on our progress. We think it's a good project. We're talking about 6.8 billion pounds of copper equivalent, and I don't have all of our neighbors on this graph here, but that's a sizable amount of metal that, as Vincent alluded, is going to be critical to advancing some of the technological changes that we're all going to experience here. Collectively, the cost per pound is pretty low, and we had a really successful exploration program in 2016 to expand the resource, and we feel like it's a pretty good place to look for resources and find them. When you look at the grades and the size, you can see where we sit in relation to some of the other properties. But I think what's interesting here is the bubble size is the capitalization cost. And collectively, it seems like we might be in a good position to be more favorable for capitalization of the project. Let me stick back and just talk about the copper market, because this is a big driver. You would have heard it from other speakers, but let me just emphasize that I don't want to say winter is coming here, but this is a huge gap in the demand for copper that is imminent. As we produce locomotion with batteries, we need copper. As we transmit the power to charge the batteries, we need copper. There's a lot of copper that has to make all this happen. And our project is sizable, but it's maybe a bucket in the pond. Let me just go back here and one. So 9.7 million tons per annum is the deficit. That's the gap. Okay, how much is that? Well, the largest copper deposit is Escondida, and they're talking about they make 1 million tons of copper. That's the largest copper deposit out there. So you need 9 of those. That's a lot of copper. That's a lot of copper. So we feel like this project has the opportunity to contribute to that supply gap, and we feel it's going to be a sizable supply gap. A little bit more on the demand. You can see that the supply is going to fall significantly below the demand as we move into the transition to more battery-powered things. One of the things about Yandera is that it's a large project, and we feel that it has the potential, and it will be a sizable economic influence on the region. We're going to need on the order of 200 megawatts of power for sustaining the mill and all that, and it would be great if there was a way to not only energize us, but some of our other neighborhoods and some of the other things going on in the valley there. So we feel like not only just the power, but the infrastructure that's going to be required to build the mine and maintain the mine and export the concentrates, it's going to have a large influence on the communities and the province and hopefully to the national GDP. A little bit about the timing of all this. There aren't specific dates here, but just kind of give you a general sense of where we are. We're in this. Our pre-feasibility study identified 540 million tons of probable reserves. Okay, so that's a higher level of confidence for a 20-year mine life. I would point out that the 20-year mine life was restricted based on the economic parameters that they used. The size of the resource is more like a 60-year mine life. And as an exploration geologist, I won't give specific numbers, but there's opportunity to grow that substantially. So our plans is we'd like to take this pre-feasibility study that was completed and implement the engineering programs and some of the other work programs to push it into a definitive feasibility study so that we can reach an FID and get the project going. A little bit about some of the layout. You can see the mine, the district where all the mill and operation are. There's a sizable amount of material that has to get moved out of the way as we're mining the ore. This is conceptually what the processing facility would look like at site. We would slurry it down to the coast and generate our concentrate there. We try to be very proactive in engaging with the communities at Yandera and all of the villages around there. And we've had a very good working relationship with them in the past. It's been a lot of effort, but we feel like it's benefited both sides of the party, both sides of the equation here, developer and the landowners. And we want to continue that working positive relationship and in any way that we can make that happen. This is our board. Some familiar faces there. So just to step back and look at Yandera through the eyes of the market here, we think there's an opportunity for a big copper project to help supply the imminent gap. We feel like PNG is a very positive place to operate. It's a great district to find and delineate mineral resources. There are many more opportunities. Yandera is a great project, and we feel like if we can get this through the definitive feasibility study, we're going to have a project that could be around for a number of generations. Here's our contact information if you have any questions. And that's all. Thank you.